Okay, then we are gonna start in three counts.
We can.
Yeah. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
You sure?
I should have been nervous, but yes, I can start.
All good. I'll take that as yes. All right. Count 3, 2. Hey Yugo, nice meeting you.
Hi,
How are
nice
you
to meet
doing
you.
today?
Yes, I'm good. Nice to meet you.
Thanks for having a time with me to take an interview session. So this is obviously a mock interview, so I'm not gonna take anything seriously, or not gonna give you like any harsh feedback, or give you any email says, "Hey, we couldn't proceed with your application this time" or anything. So just be relaxed. This is gonna be just like a demonstration kind of session for you to get the hang of how English interview work. Cause yeah, I'm pretty sure like this is gonna be the first time for you to like take this kind of session, right?
Yes,
So
right.
yeah, knowing how it works before you even start applying for a job is really, awesome. Cause yeah, a lot of people starts from the no experience, which has a like huge disadvantage like, compared to the people who has experience already. So yeah, this is that. And just to start the conversation, let's start from the little bit of ice break. So we don't like really talk like get straight to the point kind of shape or style. We basically we usually like have some little conversation before we start to get ourselves kind of comfortable talking to each other. So now that I said that, I'm gonna start the conversation from how are you doing today, like what did you do today like prior to this session?
Can you ask me again? Right?
Yeah, so what were you up to today? Like, did you have like anything interesting, or did you have any plans for like going out, or I don't know, saw the snow for the first time in Vancouver? So you did something special or anything?
So one of my hobby is snowboarding.
Right.
Yes, and today we had a snow in Vancouver, and that is first time for me to see the Vancouver's winter's snow. So that snow makes me to want to go to some mountain to snowboarding. So I want to go there, but I don't have any goods. I left it in Japan, so maybe
Oh
I have
yeah.
to I have to buy or borrow some goods here. Yeah.
Right. You can kind of rent out the gear, but it's kind of costly. So if you want to hit the mountain more than twice or three times, then you should buy gears. But yeah, for the first time or first time of the first year of Vancouver, I don't think you don't really have to like buy everything because it's kind of extreme.
Yeah.
But yeah, good stuff. Yeah. Like how long have you been doing like snowboarding as a hobby? Or is it your passion?
I played snowboarding for just 3 years.
Oh yeah?
Yes, my previous company's colleagues are very good at snowboarding. So he invited me to go to some winter sports, and then I tried it and I liked it. So yes, so that's it. That's why I started snowboarding.
Nice. How do you like it so far?
Yeah,
You
so
like it?
I like it.
Cool. All right, so now that we talked about the personal life, let's hop into the professional side of our life. So, I casually looked around your resume, and it says you have 5 years of experience, and including part-time jobs. Then you have more than 7 years experience, which is quite impressive, and you have some familiarity with several tech stacks like React Native, TypeScript, and so on and so forth. So I would love to ask several questions about your background before hopping into the technical assessment. So what about starting from, tell me about yourself,
Okay, so
kind of summarized version of it. Yep.
okay, so as you said, I was a software developer for 5 years, including the part-time jobs. I already experienced more than 7 years. And 5 years ago, I started my career with a web front-end developer. I used React and Vue and other frameworks like the WordPress or some JavaScript libraries. But recently, I mainly use React Native. I'm developing the mobile app with React Native, and sometimes I'm writing the native modules with Kotlin or Swift or Objective-C or Java. I'm not used to developing those kinds of the native layers, but I can do that. And also, I'm working as a full stack JavaScript developer in previous companies, so I developed many of the background features with JavaScript and with Express or Redis or Apple servers or some other libraries. So yeah, that is my summary of careers.
That's awesome. Yeah. Now that I'm looking at your resume on the other screen, it says like you worked in the company that is developing the platform for the podcast, which is quite impressive. And yeah, in one of these achievements you listed in the resume, it says you worked on React Native Track Player module, right. And you made it yourself. And it is really impressive for us to like hear the stuff that you made from the ground. So could you tell us about the experience or the hardest part you went through while you were developing this module for React Native?
Okay, so that is first time for me to develop the native modules.
Right.
So just going the fast stacks areas is very difficult for me. So yeah, that is difficult. So let me talk about the details. So at that company, at that apps, the app uses two native libraries to use the native layers audio functions. One is React Native Track Player, and the other one is maybe the React Native Audio or React Native Video. As you know, many of the React or React Native projects have to update the dependencies, right? I want to update the React Native Track Player to the latest versions, but after updating, I have some bugs in app, and that's because of the native dependencies of the apps. One of the React Native Track Player's dependencies is ExoPlayer. ExoPlayer is Android's famous audio libraries to play sounds. And then in our apps, other libraries also depends on the ExoPlayer in the Android native layers. When I update the React Native Track Player, the new React Native Track Players depends on the new versions of ExoPlayers.
Okay.
So if I update React Native Track Player, then the React Native Track Player's dependencies and React Native Video's dependencies about ExoPlayer's version is different. So I have
So they are incompatible.
Yes, incompatible.
In the newest version. Okay.
There's conflict about the versions. So I have to solve that problem. I tried many ways, but the solution that I developed some native modules that I can replace with React Native Video. Yeah. And as I said, that is first time for me to develop the native modules. So I have to search everything.
Right.
So first, how to develop the React Native's native libraries, and then how to write the Kotlin or how to write the Swift or Objective-C, and then how to use the Android Studio and Xcode. Then I have to search which APIs that I have to use in Android and iOS. And that is the hardest point because I don't know what of the API's features in Android and iOS. So I have to search that words itself.
Like every single details of the APIs. Yeah, that makes sense.
So, summary is that is first time for me to develop the native modules. So I don't know everything about the native layers. So I had to search everything. That is the most difficult point for me. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I get that. Like, for everyone, like making a native module for React Native is like tough work, especially if you're coming from the web background. And I wonder, in the company you are working for, you are kind of in charge of making that module for React Native Track Player update, right? So it sounds like you needed to take some time to research and do the spike and then implement that to make it happen. So how did you buy time to do everything in your team? Like, did you need to like talk to some specific people, or like what kind of a strategy you took to convince everyone that you are doing important work?
Actually, I don't use those tasks so much because there's already more than 1 year that some other people gave up to update the React Native Track Player. So after that person, maybe some of people try to update the React Native Track Player, but no one can do that. So our team and our team leader already know that is very tough tasks. So when I started to it, everyone knows it takes time. So I don't have to explain about the difficulties to do that tasks. Yeah. So yeah, other people already know that needs time. So I don't explain so much.
I see. I wonder what was the difference between those previous attempts to make such change, but they failed and they eventually gave up. But your time, you made it until the end, right? Like there should be some difference in the organization that these people didn't do it, but you could do it.
Yeah. So maybe that's because of the thinking about native layers. Yes. At previous company, not so many people have the native layers knowledge. So when doing the updating tasks, they just look the JavaScript layers. They just look the JavaScript calls and packages JSONs dependencies. So, but just looking those JavaScript layers, we cannot resolve that problem. And they gave up because they just look the JavaScript layers and they don't have the idea to develop the native libraries. They just don't think about that. So when I started to do that task, I started from the same positions. I just work JavaScript layers and packages JSONs, and then I found the origin of error is come from the native layers. So at that time, me and other people don't have experience to develop the native libraries, but I like to try new things. So I try to develop the native libraries. Yes.
Yeah, I like the approach and that you could think out of the box to, tackle on the problem and that you eventually could resolve that. It is really impressive that you have experience in such way. So yeah, thanks for sharing your story. And now that I heard your story enough for this particular interview, we are going to hop onto the technical side of this interview. Are you ready for that?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'll take that. Yes. So before we start writing code, I want you to read the code and give me the answer. So this is kind of like a warm-up question. So why don't we go to this link and ask you to share your screen? Awesome. Yep, I see that. So I am going to paste the code in here. So since you have some efficiency in the JavaScript, I'm going to give you some JavaScript specific question. This is just like a riddle kind of stuff. So we see this console logs and I want you to read them top to bottom and tell me what would be displayed.
Okay. I have to learn the basic, but okay. Let's start. If I run this code, the first output is script start, this line 3.
Okay.
And then we have to think about set timeout and promise resolver and callbacks. Let me see. I think the second output will be in a script end. I think the next output is line 70, script end.
Okay, then.
Then, I didn't remember the specification about the timeout and promise without callbacks. Let me see.
Yeah, you are kind of like, thinking between promise one or set timeout at this point, is it?
Yes, right.
Okay, so at least when the JavaScript executes, it just executes whatever the regular function first, which is great because so far you are making it right. It starts from the script start and the second would be script end. I mean, yeah, you don't really have to make it right. Honestly, this is just a warm-up. So you can just take a guess.
Okay, just a guess. So, I think the next is promise resolve. It's callback functions. Promise one. And then that is a callback and there's no waiting. So, maybe the third output is line 11's promise one.
Okay.
Then the fourth output will be promise 2.
Okay.
Then the last.
And the set timeout is the last one?
Yeah.
Could you explain why do you think that?
Okay. On the basis. So the set timeout is waiting 0 seconds.
Yep.
So waiting 0 seconds. So waiting sometimes. And promise resolve is just a callback. And I thought that we're not waiting time. So if there's no other promise or think await without a think await features, maybe that will execute as soon as possible. So I thought the next of the script end will be in a promise inside the promise console logs inside the promise.
And the last three set timeout.
Last three set timeout.
Yeah, so your answer is correct.
Really?
Congratulations on that. Yeah, so just to casually explain what's happening here is that just imagine like this JavaScript environment is V8 engine on Chrome. So we, as you expected, it just executes the regular functions script start and script end. This function reset timeout on the line 5 puts this function into the macro task. And then eventually goes into line 9, which goes into the promise. And this promise falls into the micro task, which is a higher priority than the macro task. So whatever the function falls into the micro task gets executed first. And afterwards, when the call stack is empty, finally it executes the macro stack. That is the reason why set timeout gets executed at the last of everything.
I see.
So, yeah. That's it. So that was a fun little exercise we had for the JavaScript, right? All right. So now that we have talked about it, I'm going to give you the question here. So have you ever heard of the Fibonacci sequence before?
I heard about the Fibonacci, but I don't remember the detail.
Okay. So there's a description starting from the line 1. So the Fibonacci numbers, commonly denoted F parenthesis n, form a sequence called the Fibonacci sequence, such that each number is the sum of two preceding ones, starting from 0 and 1. That is, f of 0 is 0, f of 1 is 1, and f of n is f of n minus 1 plus f of n minus 2 for whatever the situation that n is bigger than 1. So could you write a function that takes n and puts out the result of this Fibonacci sequence?
I see. Okay, so can I start?
Of course.
Okay, so first I have to define the function. Function Fibonacci. And that will accept the this is JavaScript.
Oh, you wanted the TypeScript? It's fine.
But
If you wanted the TypeScript, I can change the setting.
but maybe it's okay to use the JavaScript.
Yeah, I don't mind either way.
Okay, so the parameter n equals some number,
Okay.
int number, some number. So then I can implement the details. So okay, let's think the simplest way. Maybe I can keep the amount number as a word definition. Then I can do the adding the number until the n will be 0.
Okay.
I mean, I don't use this in the real tasks, but I will use while
loop. Okay.
And I think I can do until n equals 0 or less than 0. Maybe it's enough to writing equals 0, and then I can calculate the amount.
Okay.
So maybe the amount should be n should be added to the amount, and then I can decrease the minus. Thinking about that, when Fibonacci function receives a number as n, the calculation process will go until n becomes 0. And maybe if the n will be 0, when n will be 0, the while loop will end, and then the amount will be the answer. So I think I can return amount. So maybe,
Okay, so with this function, could you go line by line, expecting the n is number of 1?
If n is 1. Okay, so then if n Fibonacci function receive 1, the right amount equals 0 is defined, and then the while loop will move. And if n equals 0, so this loop is wrong. N equals 0, so n equals 0 and not equal 0. So if the props n equal 1, the while loop will move. And line 16, by line 16, the amount will be added with the original n. So
which is 1.
Here. So then the line 16, the amount will be 1 by adding the original n. Then the next line 70, the n will be decreased, so n will be 0.
Right.
Then the first while loop is end, so the second while loop check will occur, and then here the second loop, the n is already 0, so the second while loop ends. So then the line 90 will occur, the returning amount, then the amount is now 1. So it's correct?
Yeah, that is correct. What about when the n is 4?
Okay, so if 4, I can write down.
Yeah, just write
If
down.
4,
Yep.
then the first while loop will occur, and then the amount plus amount will be 4,
Right.
and n will be 3. This is first while loop. Then the second loop is occur. Then the amount will be the 4 plus
3.
3. Then
This is weird already because the answer is 3. So it shouldn't be more than 3.
Wait.
So look at the example on the second one. Then let's say the case of the n is 3. Then output should be 2, right? But if you execute this function, then the n starts from 3 because the given n is 3, right? But for the first iteration of your while loop, your amount becomes 3 while the output is supposed to be 2. So there's some logic error in the Fibonacci function.
Okay, so maybe I mistakenly start without thinking the 0 and 1 conditions. I can exclude the n equals 0 and n equals 1 pattern, maybe.
Yeah, I can add one more example to it so that it gives you a bit better idea of what it is like, I guess. So example, and I'll just comment them out.
I see.
So for this second example, I just added the input is 4 and the output is 3, which is because when you execute Fibonacci function with 4, which is the sum of Fibonacci function of 3 and Fibonacci function of 2. And Fibonacci function of 3's answer is 2 and 2's answer is 1. Thus, the sum is 3, so the output is 3.
I
So
see.
in this case, when the n is 3, output is 2 because f of 2 is 1 and Fibonacci function of 1 is 1.
Okay.
The sum and the 2.
I see.
So, yeah.
I see.
While loop with decreasing n is not the way.
I see. I'm mistaken. I had a mistake. So I have
It's
to
okay.
think again. Okay, so line 5 is what we want to do. Okay, so let me think.
No worries, take your time.
Okay, maybe I can exclude n if n is small or same to the 1. Maybe it's special case. So I think I can exclude it.
Yeah, that works.
So if n equal 0, then 0, and if n equal 1, then return 1. So I can think about the n equal larger than 2.
So far, so good. So
Good, but
at least this function returns the right answer if the input is either 0 or 1.
yeah.
So that's a progress.
I have some idea about some, let's say, recursive functions.
Recursive function works, yeah.
Yeah, but I started from the wrong position, and I'm now confusing. So when thinking about the recursive functions,
You could also use while loop if
Yeah,
you don't like
so-
recursive function.
yeah. So maybe now I have to use while loop. I think I have to use Fibonacci function as a recursive.
Yeah, what's the part you are confused?
So I have two ideas, as I said.
Okay.
So one is using the recursive functions and one is while loop.
Okay.
But thinking about each of that, my brain automatically switched to another idea, so I cannot concentrate on just one idea, the recursive or while loop. So I have to choose the way of this problem.
Which one do you think is better?
Maybe the recursive way is smart, I think.
Okay.
I can memorize here.
Okay.
I think I can do this. So F, just to understand, I will use the definition. F1 equal and this Fibonacci and minus 1.
Okay.
Then the second is Fibonacci and minus 2. Yeah, I think plus F2.
Right, that's what we ultimately want.
It's very simple, but I was confusing.
Now that we have resolved this function or this algorithm, could you explain me the performance of it?
Okay.
Like how's the time complexity of this one?
Okay, so I'm using recursive functions, so this recursive function will call until n will become 1. And I use this recursive function 2 times in one function. So it means I have 2 loops.
Okay.
So 2 loops means n square. Right? N square.
Yeah, just to give you the answer, like n square is right, but I want you to kind of like explain like why is that using recursive function.
Just this Fibonacci functions, the looped the functions until n will become 1 or 0.
Okay.
That means the function has n times loop inside n loops functions. N times running. But this function is a recursive function, so inside the n loop, this function will call itself n times.
Right.
So that means n times run in n times. That means n square cost.
Yeah, that's right. Congratulations. You hit the bottom line of Fibonacci sequence.
Thank you.
So yeah, since we have 7 minutes to go already, so I think it's more productive for us to try to get this function more performant rather than going to another question. So since you implemented this function using recursive function, how would you like to improve the performance of this function? Because n square is not the best, performant function to execute, right?
I think I don't have to calculate the second two times because if maybe the F1 will have answer, maybe I just have to use the F1's answer with the cache of the calculation. I think by using the answer of F1, I can calculate the F2's answer with no n times loop, I think. I mean,
So you want to cache each result using like some sort of logic to store the previous answer and then graph that to execute the Fibonacci function. Is that the right understanding?
Maybe the cache is not the correct word, I think. I think I just can use the let's say each of the answer, and by using each of answer I can calculate the other answer by adding the n minus or by minusing the n minus value. Just f n minus 1. So maybe I can reduce the line 31st. And then I think I can.
All right, time's up.
Okay.
It's all good. You did pretty good actually. Like I didn't expect you to like finish this Fibonacci sequence, honestly. But yeah, like we wasted a bit of time like for having like confusion, and like that 5 minutes was kind of like wasted. So it's kind of impressive that like you could hit the bottom line of this function using recursive function. But like for single iterations answer, I think you shouldn't use recursive function because recursive function eventually adds stack to the call stack. So it's kind of hard to like make the single iteration function using
I see.
So what if you use while loop with the like some sort of caching, like a dictionary or array, then you could have made it easier.
I see.
Yeah, that's a different
very
approach.
Easier way, yeah.
Exactly, but it doesn't really matter. Like you could hit the line of like saying that like, hey, this could be n, a big O n, like single iteration, and that is what counts. So it's much better than like having a single answer than like I can't really like make any improvements on that or anything. So it's great.
Thank you.
Really good job. And so in the real question, I'd give you a chance to ask a question about the positions or company, but since this is a mock interview, I'm gonna skip it. So yeah, for the next time when we have the mock interview, then we can actually aim for some specific position. So I read the description of the job post, and I can pretend to be that guy, and you can ask questions. But this time we didn't prepare anything like that. I just saw your resume and we did the session. So this is good enough. So congratulations on going through the first interview in your life.
Thank you. But I think it's not enough for me.
No, it's all good. You did quite well. Like, if the candidate is really familiar with like those algorithms, then we could do like 3 questions or 2 questions with the quite intensive like improvements. But yeah, considering that like this was the first time, it's fine. はい、じゃあ日本語に戻しますか。お疲れ様です。
お疲れ様です。
まあね、
むずいですね。
いや、むずいですよ。むずいです。
英語、いや、今、そっちに思ってるのが、多分、日本語だったら、その2番目の質問とかも、普通に答えれてたのかなと思うんですけど、喋りながら思ったのは、英語を理解して会話するリソースで、プログラムについて考えるリソース取られるんだなっていうのをめちゃくちゃ思って。 なんかその2つのタスクが並行で同時に動いてる感じがするので、
うんうんうんうん。それは確かにインタビュー独特な難しさですよね。
そうですね。もし日本語使ってたら、その英語のこと考える必要もなくて、これ、英語で何て言うんだっけとかちょくちょく考えてたんですけど、それもなかったから、もうちょっと落ち着いて、混乱せずにできたのかなとかを、なんか、やりながら思いました。
確かに確かに。あまりにも一つの単語で引っかかるようだったら、コードシェアの横に一つタブ開けといて、随時トランスレートしながらでも全然大丈夫です。そこに関しては怒る人はいないと思うので。で、軽くフィードバックをじゃあやっていきたいと思います。まず、1個目の最初のビヘイビアルクエスチョンというか、質問聞いて、ユーゴさんが答えるっていう部分で、まず思ったのが、テクニカルディテールに行った時に、そのテクニカルな部分を説明するのに必死すぎてめちゃくちゃ長くなってたっていう部分ですね。
確かになんか、そうですね。そもそもそこの論点を自分で事前にまとめておくのが多分面接では必要っていうのもあるし、さっき言った英語の問題で、自分が一回言ったことが、ちゃんと自分の言いたいように伝わってるのか、言いたいように言えたのか、ちょっと自信がなくて、なんか多分似たようなことを
結構繰り返し言ってた印象がありますね。
自分で言いながらも繰り返してるなっていうふうに、確かに思ったりもしました。
そうですね。それもありますし、その質問者の意図を多分察知するよりも自分のアウトプットにちょっと集中しすぎてた部分があるので、ユーゴさん日本語で喋ってるとそこに関しては問題はない人なので、もうちょっとその気持ち的余裕な部分っていう部分があると、ここの質問の答えも結構もうちょっと短くなれたのかなっていう。
精進します。
いやそれ以外においては結構自信を持って自分のエクスペリエンスについて喋れたので、テクニカルインタビューって結局そのインタビュアーの人がレジュメ見て、ここ面白いなっていう部分をちょっとついてくるみたいな感じに終始するので、結構その実際のがっつりしたビヘイビアルクエスチョンに比べると、そうですね、テクニカルな部分な質問も大きくなるので、今回みたいな温度感で答えることができたらいいのかなと思います。あとはもうちょっとサマリーを、自分の中で咀嚼して説明できる能力っていうところが結構自分の予想してない部分の質問とか来たりするので、どんな質問が来ても結構アドリブでこれはこうでしたっていう風に、パパッとまとめて答えれるようにすると、テクニカルインタビューのテクニカルの部分にもちょっと時間が割けるようになります。
なるほど、ありがとうございます。
ここが一番最初の前半部分のフィードバックで、後半の部分なんですけど、一番最初にフィボナッチのファンクションを解き始めた時に結構その自分の中で、プロセスをしてた部分があったので、結構序盤からどんどんプロセスっていうか、その自分がどういうふうに考えてどういうそのプロセスを得てこういう答えに至ったのかみたいなのを逐一口に出しながらやった方がインタビューでは有利です。でそうですね、詰まった時にヒントくださいとか助けてくださいっていうのも全然インタビューではありなので、そこもねできるといいかもしれないですね、次回は。これがテクニカルな部分ですかね。正直そのフィボナッチのファンクションも解けたので、そこまで悪いものではなかったなっていう。もちろん最初からイタレーション1回でできるようなアンサーで出してくれたらもう次の質問もすぐパッていく予定だったんですけど、最初はリカーシブのファンクションの答えだったんで、じゃあこれをオプティマイズしようかっていう風に、ブランチを切るっていうか、その進めてもらったんですけど、
なるほど。
こんな感じですね、テクニカルインタビューは。
なるほどですね。
会社によっては今日僕たちがアルゴリズムフィボナッチやったのを実際のレポジトリ渡されて、じゃあこのちっちゃいウェブサイトをリードミーを見ながら作ってっていうパターンになったりもするので、そのパターンもまた次回機会があればぜひやりましょう。
そうです。
そっちの方が多分ユーゴさんはすごいバワーっと書けると思うので。
そうです、多分そんな気がします。
でもこういうパターンの会社も未だに多いので、慣れておくに越したことはないのかなっていう感じですね。
未だにっていうのはなんていうんですか、面接のトレンドとしてなんかこういう単純な日本でいう教プロ的な問題からちょっと実務的なコーディングテストをやる会社が増えてるみたいな、そういう
ことです。
なるほど。
最初 Google か Amazon か忘れたんですけど、GAFAM の、ビッグテックのどっかがやりだして、でそこをスタートアップが真似してっていう感じで、このアルゴリズム系の教プロ系の問題がはびこっちゃったんですけど、最近になって あれこれってあんまり実務能力測れなくねっていう、まあ一回でもインタビュー受けたら分かるようなことがだんだん業界で広まりだして、
なるほど。
でそうもうちょっと実務的な内容しようかってなってきているのが今のトレンドなんですけど、でもまだまだ50-50にも満たないようなちっちゃいトレンドなので、まだこっちの勉強もいるかなっていう印象は結構強いですね。
なるほどですね。
はい。
じゃあその実務的なものをやるときはそのリポジトリを渡されてっていうふうにあったんですけど、その時もこういうふうに、なんですか、画面をシェアして
そうですね。
喋りながらやるって感じですかね。
はい。まあ実務的な方法でやるときは多分ユーゴさんの開発環境でそのレポジトリをクローンしてでものを作ってっていう感じになると思います。
なるほど。
はい。
実際に画面シェアしてクローンして実際に動かして、画面
そうですね。ペアプログラミングの延長線上というかそういう感じですね。
確かにそれは面白そうですね。
まあそっちの方がやってて楽しいっていうのは確かにありますね。
こっち
結構インタビュアーもそう相手の書いてるコードちゃんと理解しないとさっきの僕たちのフィボナッチのリカーシブファンクション分かってねみたいな事態が起こったりするので、これ結構大変なんですよね。
そうですね。なんか僕も英語は経験ないんですけど、日本語でこういうその教プロ的なアルゴリズム的なものを題材に面接するっていうのは何回かしたことがあって、確かにそれはなんかその普段の業務とはなんかまた若干違うレベルでアルゴリズム理解しようとする目で見て、相手の言語も時々違ったりするんで、それをちゃんと読みながら理解しないといけないっていうのは面接官もなんか試されてる感が若干
そう
あるなと思います。
結構その脳のリソースを使うなっていう部分がありますよね。
そうです。
自分が考えつかないようなアプローチも咀嚼して
確かに、
やらないとダメなのででも逆に言うとその自分が想像もしてなかったアプローチを相手がやった場合にその相手にちゃんと説明してもらうっていうのも面接の一部ですよね。その相手がその結構奇抜なやり方をした時にその奇抜にした理由を説明できなかったり、この奇抜な回答のそのタイムコンプレキシティとかスペースコンプレキシティが説明できないと運かとか、自分の書いてるコードを 100% 理解して書いてないんだという評価になるので、そこもねやっぱりインタビュアーよりもインタビューイーの方が試されている部分は大きいんじゃないかなというふうに感じます。
両方とも大変ですね。
両方とも大変です、インタビューは。本当に。はい。
僕がその日本での経験5年でバイト入れたら7年っていうのもあると、なんか面接する、本番でいざ面接するってなったら、シニア、低くてもインターメディエイト。
僕はシニアのつもりで面接してたので、フィボナッチは解いてほしいなっていう、温度感でやってましたね。
それがあったので、それを踏まえると、なんか英語が拙いとかそういう言い訳は置いておいて、もうちょっとスマートに解けよっていうふうに自分に思いました。
いや、でも問題を解くっていうよりは問題を解くまでのプロセスを見ているのでね。
プロセス、確かに。
はい。
確かにな。それをちゃんと。
そのユーゴさんの後半のその油の乗ってきたっていうか、その調子が出てきて、説明もその自発的にできてたものを最初からできてると、もうちょっとこの問題も早めに終わって次に行けたのかなっていう感じには感じていたので。
なるほど、ありがとうございます。
いやもう良かったです、本当に1回目にしては。次回に期待ですね。っていうか撮影とか抜きでいつでもやってもいいので、モックインタビューまたいつでも、声かけてください。
そうですね。
今日は本当に改めて時間を取ってもらってありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。いやぜひちょっと時間を置いてリベンジ。
そうですね。リベンジセッションということで、次回どれだけユーゴさんがスムーズにインタビューできるかっていう部分をこの動画をリンクして、見比べれるようにしておきたいと思いますので、次回の挑戦を楽しみに待っています。はい。それじゃあ本当に改めて今日はありがとうございました。
はい、ありがとうございました。
はい。ではお疲れ様です。